Good evening, namaste. Welcome, dear friends, to today's webinar based on Swami Kriyanada ji's book, Living Wisely, Living Well. The reading for today, September 11th, says, See yourself when you help others as a gardener watering his plants. Whether the plants be bushes, grass, or flowers, all of them need water. And human beings, whether haughty or humble, harsh or gentle, ignorant or learned, provocative or submissive, dryly brittle or richly humorous, all of them need nourishment. If you nourish them with the nectar of kindness, they will thrive. Swamiji has so beautifully described the variety of people that we all have in our lives, and his message is that we nourish all of them with the nectar of kindness. Friends, I remember one story from Swamiji's life when he was living in Gurgaon. He used to call a masseur for massage, and this guy was poor, and Swamiji once asked him if he had a massage table. To this, his reply was obviously in the negative. So Swami discussed with him about the approximate estimated cost of the table, and he promised the fellow that he will buy a table for this guy. So after a few days, the master came back, and Swamiji asked him, "Did you inquire about the table?" The master was slightly embarrassed. He said, "Swamiji, actually the table is costing twice the estimated cost that we had thought." To this, Swamiji replied, "I have promised you to buy a table, and I shall do so." And so Swamiji did buy him a table. And the master was overwhelmed. He was in tears. He said, "I feel the loving kindness of a father coming from you, Swamiji." In fact, all those who came in contact with Swami experienced his unconditional loving kindness in their lives. And they continue to do so till now. Once Swamiji was asked, "What is Ananda's legacy?" And he replied, "Kindness." He was telling us that we should not miss the point of our spiritual practices. If we meditate the whole day and are unable to share loving kindness with God's children, then we create a sense of separateness, which is opposite to omnipresence. So only by the practice of loving kindness with all God's children can we lead a more spiritually benefited life. And kindness is said to be the social way of omnipresence. Let me share with you a few quotes that great ones have said about kindness, starting with Paramhansa Yogananda. Guruji says, "Kindness is the light that dissolves all walls between souls, families, and nations." If we look all around us, dear friends, it's easy to see that we need more kind hearts and a lot of kindness in this world today. The Dalai Lama has said, "If you want others to be happy, practice kindness and compassion. If you want to be happy, practice kindness and compassion." He goes on to say, "Love and compassion are necessities, not luxuries. Without them, mankind cannot survive." Mark Twain has said, "Kindness is a language that the deaf can hear and the blind can see." In fact, there's another interesting quote that I recently read. It said, "There are three things important in life. The first is to be kind. The second is to be kind. And the third is to be kind." So let us try and see why so many great people have said so many great things about kindness and how this affects our life actually. So let's say, the first thing we can say is heartfelt kindness is liberating. How does it liberate us? When we practice loving kindness towards all, it fills us with a calm heart. And that calmness, we are not judgmental towards anybody. We stop judging others, and when we stop judging others, we see God present in everyone, and that frees us. Secondly, kindness is sweetness. Not only does kindness add sweetness to the one to whom you are kind, but it also dissolves all bitterness from your own heart and fills your life with sweetness. Thirdly, kindness is magic. In the 1990s, a Japanese scientist, Dr. Masaru Emoto, conducted a series of experiments on water molecules as water was freezing into ice. During this process of freezing, he gave different vibrations to the water. He said some kind words, some words of hatred, envy, jealousy, very harsh words, abusive language. He also exposed those water molecules to various types of music. And surprise of surprises is that when those molecules were studied under the microscope, it was found that the molecules that received loving kindness when they were freezing formed crystals that were very beautiful. On the other hand, those molecules which received hatred, they were like debris and dirt. Now think about this. We are 70% water. So all those thoughts are going to affect us. And if we were to be conscious about this, then with the power of our own thought and loving kindness, we can create magic, good health in our own bodies, isn't it? Fourthly, I would say kindness brings joy and hope to everyone. Now, I will just narrate a story of a friend, who fell sick after she nursed her entire family. Now, this is usually the case. A flu-like problem is there in the city, and it affects every household. And usually it is, each member will fall sick one by one, and the lady of the house is maybe serving them, nursing them. And once everybody is fine, then she falls sick. So this was the case with her. And as she was lying down with a headache and a bad respiratory infection, her little son came to her. And seeing her in trouble, the little son just came and massaged her head. And she felt better. And she smiled and she told her son, says, "Son, you have magical hands." From that day onwards, whenever anybody in the house fell sick, this little boy came with his sweet kindness and magical hands and gave a lot of joy and hope to everyone. Now the point I would say about kindness is intuitive. It is said that if you have that calmness in your heart, which kindness brings, then you can judge the vibrations coming from other people in a much more accurate way than any intellectual analysis. And I would ask you to test this in your own life. You would see that when you're calm, you're able to feel the others more than when you're restless yourself. So be kind to others, bring calmness to yourself, and be more intuitive. Another very important aspect of kindness is that it is the proof of God's presence within us. If we ponder upon from where we have got the power to love others or to be kind, the answer is simple. It is coming from the noblest part within ourselves, within our own heart, which is the proof of God's presence within ourselves. In the Bible, when Jesus says, "Father, I thank thee that thou hast heard me," he is telling us that God's loving presence is ever within us. It is ever with us. And he listens to everybody's prayers. He just doesn't answer only a few prayers, but any and every heartfelt prayer is answered. So we should have firm faith in the loving kindness of our omnipresent Father. Now let's consider practicing kindness. So friends, just like charity, practice of kindness begins at home. It is usually seen that people are very kind to their colleagues, to their friends, to their distant relatives, or even to strangers. But somehow, they are not so kind in their closest circle. To this, Master said, I will read out a quote from Master. Guruji says, true family happiness is founded upon understanding and kind words. When we learn to be courteous and respectful to our immediate relatives, we will then be habitually kind to all people. In married life specifically, Guruji says, marriage is a laboratory in which selfishness, bad temper, and behavior must be changed by the power of love, kindness, and continuous good behavior. Master has also given us guidelines for practicing kindness with our children, and this is what he says. Parents and children should avoid undue familiarity. They should base their relationship upon kindness and love, not upon force or authority. If parents understand that their relationship with their children is not by chance, but it is due to a divine plan, they will, by their kindness, help divine love grow and expand in their children's hearts during their earthly training. From family, let's go to friends. And for friends, is kindness just being nice and agreeable? Or is kindness more than that? I feel kindness is being sincere and thoughtful. It's being able to listen. It's being able to hear the feelings behind the words. It's to give the right advice and at the right time, the right help. And maybe to go an extra mile to help as well. And then Master says, do not restrict your loving kindness to just family and friends. Give your loving kindness to all. Be a friend to all, imbued with kindness and affection for all God's creation, scattering love everywhere. Here I would also like to read about an excerpt from the Buddha's teachings. He says, even as a mother protects with her life her child, her only child, so with a boundless heart should one cherish all living beings, radiating kindness over the entire world. There is a very sweet Buddhist prayer. Let's just close our eyes for a moment and follow this prayer mentally. May all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all be free from sorrow and the causes of sorrow. And may all live in equanimity without too much attachment and too much aversion, and live believing in the equality of all that lives. Now let's come to describe the various ways in which we can practice kindness. Now, do we really have to be a billionaire to practice kindness, or do we have to do very, very big things in our life to practice kindness? Of course, the answer is no. We just need to keep our eyes open and see where the need is. And we say keep our eyes open doesn't mean just the two physical eyes, means keeping the eyes of the heart open and feeling around and feeling if there is any person in need. A gentle smile, a few kind words, maybe holding the door for someone or carrying the luggage for an elderly. Or sometimes maybe writing a thank you email, giving an honest compliment. All these are small acts of kindness that all of us can do in one single day. Besides, to be kind is to empower somebody. So if you can empower somebody by helping them with their education, by helping them to earn their livelihood so that they become self-sufficient, that is a great act of kindness. Another important act of kindness is listening. Listening means giving your undivided attention to someone. Usually the scenario is that when someone's talking, we are kind of waiting when they're going to pause, and when is it that we are going to say something in reaction to it or in addition to it, or maybe giving our own point of view. But kindness would be simply to be in that present moment and quietly listening to the other person, because sometimes that's the only thing they need. Another important act of kindness is to cherish and celebrate other people's successes. It is said that your reaction to someone's success determines more about your relationship than your reaction to their sorrow. Be truly and sincerely happy for others, because in the true sense, there is no other, there is only one. As a yogic ideal, Master has said that we should lead a disciplined life, we should practice active kindness, and we must meditate regularly. Only by regular meditation can we feel a tangible presence of God within us. And when we feel God's presence within us, we are in a position to share with everyone. Now here comes a little disclaimer. There are challenges in the practice of kindness. What are these challenges? The first one is a very common one, and it is agreeing to everything in the name of kindness. It's okay to disagree. It's important to be sincere. Swamiji said, even if you disagree, be calm and centered within yourself. The second challenge is getting emotional and very sorrowful over another person's problems. Now, I suffered through this when I was a medical intern. And from morning till night, seeing a lot of sickness and suffering would fill me with a lot of sorrow myself. And I would sometimes cry my heart out. But over the years, we learn to be detached and yet helpful. And especially on the spiritual path, when you learn to meditate, you have to learn to be detached and yet helpful. Swamiji said, if a person is drowning and you yourself don't know how to swim well, is it wiser that you jump into the water to help him? Or is it wiser that you stand calmly and extend maybe a helping hand or a rope or a stick? Wouldn't that be more helpful? So in all circumstances, it is important to be calm and centered. Another important challenge is balancing out pity versus empowerment. So do not sympathize to the point with a person who needs kindness that you weaken him. You must remember that you have to empower him. And by empowering him, you're going to empower yourself and free yourself as well. A fourth kind of challenge is very interesting. It comes from the thought that, oh, there is so much unhappiness in the world, and that I have this commitment to change all this. Now, it sounds like a noble thought, but actually it is coming from a craving and a desire to change the world. It is not possible to change the world. Do your best and let God handle the rest. Another kind of challenge that comes in the practice of kindness is that the practitioner feels that he himself is so helpless, or he himself is a sinner, and how can he practice kindness with others? And here I would like to quote the story of the dacoit Angulimal, the one who used to cut people's fingers, kill them and cut their fingers and make a mala around his neck. And it was Lord Buddha who transformed him. And the same Angulimal became the bhikkhu, ahimsak. And after his transformation, once he was coming back to the ashram after receiving bhiksha, and he saw that under a tree lay a pregnant woman in labor, and she was in deep agony, a lot of pain. He was unable to stand that. He ran back to the ashram and he prayed to Lord Buddha to help him to help that lady. And Lord Buddha said, "Go to her and tell her, if I have done anything good in my life, may the merits ease you and protect you." To this, Ahimsak said, "But Lord, I have been such a bad person. I have done so many bad things in my life. This is going to be false if I say so." So Lord Buddha modified this statement a little. He said, "Okay, you go and say this to her. From the time I have entered the straight spiritual path, if I have done anything good, may the merits of all those actions protect you and your child." This satisfied Ahimsak, and he went there. And he prayed next to that woman. And in a few minutes, she delivered comfortably, and both the mother and child were healthy. So this basically tells us that even though we may think that our burden of some bad karma is there and we are unable to help, but we still can help. We should try to help. There's another important pitfall or challenge in practicing kindness, is that you practice kindness and you expect that you will get something in return. For example, you give a glass of water to someone who's thirsty and you think, oh, maybe this fellow will give me a glass of juice someday. Or maybe you help someone financially thinking that one day he will also help me or he'll give me more than I have given him. Well, Swamiji used to say, when I give something to someone, especially financially, I kind of give it to the universe. The universe is intelligent enough to decide what, how much, and when it has to give you in return. And the final challenge that I would like to talk about is practicing kindness to earn merit for yourself, means to earn good karma. Chains of gold are still chains. Both bad karma as well as good karma are going to bind us. So what is the solution? Nishkam karma. So whenever you practice an act of kindness, know that God is the doer. Do it for God, with God, in God, and lay the fruits of all those actions at the feet of the Lord. Coming finally to some more benefits of kindness. We already said kindness is liberating, it is sweetness, it is magic, it gives joy and hope, it is intuitive. Besides these, kindness has some other benefits. Physically speaking, practicing kindness increases the level of DHEA, a hormone in our body, and this is an anti-aging hormone. Kindness decreases the amount of cortisol in our body, and this helps to fight stress. Another physical benefit is that kindness beautifies your facial expression. What is in your heart and mind is going to reflect in your face and eyes. A person who practices kindness sleeps well. He awakens happy. Such a person lives without fear. Such a person becomes dear to all humans, animals, and even plants. Such a person is able to develop single-pointed concentration, a very important aspect for the yogi. And how is this possible? This is possible because the person who is kind is not disturbed by negative vibrations coming from everywhere else. He is calm and he is centered. and therefore he can focus on the highest goals of life. Just to put it in one line, a person who is kind lives happily and dies peacefully. Ralph W. Emerson once said, "One of the most beautiful compensations of life is that no man can sincerely try to help another without being helped himself." And Master said the same thing in such a beautiful way. He said, "The channel is blessed by what flows through it." So let us all practice kindness in our daily life, feel the presence of God within us, and share Him with all whom we meet. Thank you. Om, peace. Amen.